Groups that help victims of crime, abuse, and violence just found out the Trump administration is pulling their funding. CBS News has obtained a list of 365 federal grant programs that the U.S. Justice Department has halted.
For a lot of nonprofits working in the area of criminal justice, the news last week was not good.
At least two major organizations in South Florida are affected: the Urban League of Broward County and the Circle of Brotherhood in Miami.
The Circle got this email from the Justice Department that their $2 million federal grant awarded in 2023 was terminated because it no longer effectuates the program goals or agency priorities.
This is over 365 organizations nationwide. This is over $800 million in funding. These are organizations that provide assistance in gun crime prevention, anti-human trafficking, juvenile justice initiatives, over $500 million that go to programs that support local police departments and correctional facilities, funding for hate crime trafficking and community-based gun crime intervention strategies. And let me be clear, this is work that the government doesn't do. So this isn't extra, like icing on the cake and you still got the cake. No, this is the work that is being done in communities that are not underserved, but are unserved. Not only in this country, well, certainly in this country, but particularly in South Florida, which is where the Circle of Brotherhood comes in, whose mission it is to involve black men in solving community problems, help make communities decent places to live. This is right from their mission statement on the website, with a primary focus on youth development, crime prevention, and economic sustainability. Let me be clear. I don't know about these other 364 plus organizations elsewhere in the country. I know that Circle of Brotherhood does work that nobody else does in Miami. Not our government, not our politicians. It is singular. It is unique. It is not important. It is essential. It is indispensable. And I can tell you that without organizations like it, people will die. Brother Lyle Muhammad is executive director of this organization, Circle of Brotherhood, founded in Miami in 2012. Brother Lyle, you heard the Attorney General of the United States, Florida woman Pam Bondi, saying that these organizations, that your organization, your mission, the money for which you have been granted asked by the federal government to do it, granted by the federal government to do it, that your programs do not align with the administration's priorities. What is that? Is that true? The administration doesn't want to help women, doesn't want to help children, doesn't want to help victims of opioid addiction, victims of gun violence. What is it that you're doing, Brother Lyle, that does not align with the priorities of this administration?
Well, I think that direct question, and thank you all so much for bringing light on this situation, really is a question that they need to be asked, that they haven't answered. What I will say is this: the most diabolical thing I've seen in reference to these particular cuts is the timing. A few days before summer, that's a death wish. And so obviously people talk about campaigns about Black Lives Mattering and about impoverished neighborhoods deserving to be serviced. So if those things are diametrically opposed to the administration's agenda, then I think we just stepped up another leg in this war.
Well, Brother Lyle, it just seems to me that this administration is looking at their DEI, the anti-DEI initiative. I just think that because you're serving a community of color, that they don't want you to help them. Do you agree?
Well, the writing on the wall says that. And so that's why, one of our approaches is, of course, we're not taking this lying down, but we're also not going to be spending a lot of time, to be quite honest, convincing those who are diametrically opposed to the work that we do, trying to prove its value. It's time for those who understand and believe this work to stop taking these kind of slap in the faces for granted.
Here's the thing, Roy, because it doesn't just affect urban community, inner city communities, however you want to kind of shorthand the racism of this policy. You're talking about organizations and programs that help with violence against women, that help, as I said, with opioid addiction and overdoses, with the availability of Narconon, and some of these organizations, like I said, are law enforcement organizations, are organizations that provide assistance to correctional officers who are way overworked and overstressed and underpaid. They provide assistance to local police departments. So this is just like, it doesn't make any sense when you consider what the administration claims its priorities are, right? We're pro-police. We're pro-law enforcement. We're fighting the opioid epidemic. We're trying to help the victims of crime, right? But this doesn't just affect you, Brother Lyle. Is that correct? Like, what are you hearing and what do you know about some of the other organizations locally, statewide, nationwide that are being affected by this?
Great question. First of all, there is a lot of national organizing going on now because of this. Some institutions have already had to lay off their entire workforces, some as many as 60 individuals. I mean, you take a picture of 60 well-placed individuals who are doing violence intervention and prevention work, and you remove them, you immediately are causing a gap. Other organizations that even provide technical assistance have been forced to stop their programming. And a lot of this work to our young people too, who sometimes are suicidal. So their mental health counselors and the people that they support as credible messengers, some of them have immediately been taken out of the picture. So this is really having an implosion effect across America.
What about how sudden this was? This wasn't like, hey, because when you get a grant and the federal government says, you're good, you've got $2 million coming over the next X number of years, you ramp shit up. You hire people on. You have programs. You have obligations. You have presumably outstanding invoices, bills to pay, salaries to pay, kids to go out and help, kids you are in the middle of helping. They're in the midst of a program with you. And then it's not just like, hey, in next year, the administration is reprioritizing. So we're looking at this and you have 12 months to wind shit down or 6 months or whatever. They just yanked
Just show you exactly how that went down. We literally received an email last Tuesday on the 22nd at 5:35 p.m. that notified of the termination. Literally, the faucet was cut off. We couldn't even go and get reimbursed for monies and programs that have already been spent. Literally, they sent it after business hours. Now, mind you, most organizations like ours, they begin their payroll drawdown processes on the Wednesday. So this was direct and this was intentional.
People think I'm hyperbolic. I'm a bit of a Chicken Little. The sky's falling. When I said at the top of this, when I said this, well, it's not paranoia if they're really after you, Roy. Okay, it's not chicken. You're not Chicken Little if the sky's really falling, Brother Lyle. When I said at the top of this segment, people will die. I want you to explain to everyone what it means when that faucet turned off. Yeah. What stopped? Who was immediately affected, and what will be the short or long-term impact of that?
Excellent, man. I tell you, the first thing that had to come to my mind is, am I going to be able to make payroll this week? And then the second thing that came to my mind is, how many people are we going to have to lay off? And then the visualization started coming to my mind, like our peacemakers who stopped a young person on the street from cutting himself with a razor after school, like our peacemakers that do boots on the ground, literally help people put guns away and stop gunplay. I'm talking about people who work with foster care youth that are in crisis management situations on a daily basis. I'm talking about people who are coming home from prison and need reentry support. All of that stops. So the bottom line is, when funding goes down for gun violence, then death and homicides increases. And we have been responsible for the largest decrease in gun violence in the history of Miami-Dade and Miami-Dade County. We can prove that.
A lot of folks these days don't really seem to take shit seriously or understand the impact of something until it happens to them. And so I want to let people understand this is why we have public schools. This is why we care about public health. This is why we have social services. When, this isn't, we don't have communities with walls or fences around them. These are our communities. Everybody's child is all of our responsibility to some extent when you have the richest country in the history of the planet Earth. We do things for each other and we do things for communities because it makes everybody safer and smarter and healthier. And that makes shit safer and smarter and healthier for you and for everybody and everybody's children. So let me be clear. When people are desperate, when people are broke, when people do not have access to these types of interventions and social services, this isn't just a matter of violence and crime and drugs increasing in these, underserved or urban communities where places people can other that. They can go like, well, that doesn't affect me in Aventura or me in Bel Air or me in Boca Raton. Well, what I'm saying is that desperate times call for desperate measures. That's when shit goes down everywhere, and crime goes up everywhere. Like you can't just contain this. So I want to understand what is the impact that this is going to have on Miami-Dade, on the state of Florida, on the United States at large.
See, I can tell you off rip, while we as an organization are ready because of the immediate termination have suffered a more than $600,000 loss, Miami-Dade is about to lose millions of dollars of national organizations that were also cut, pouring money into our work to expand it from one end of the county to another. Another thing that's critical for us is another slap in the face. We remember the term essential workers during COVID. Would they lay off doctors and nurses right in the middle of a COVID crisis? So you're telling me that our employees are not essential workers? So for us, this is a line being drawn in the sand. So when I say a line being drawn in the sand, you're going to see no more business as usual. We're not going to reveal everything that you're going to see taking place, but this is going to cause a massive call of our people to wake up until that violence or that economic situation hits their doorstep. Like you said, this is serious, and it's taking place not just here, but across the country and all at the same time. Dangerous.
The Attorney General had tweeted about this being wasteful spending, including a $2 million grant to fund, quote, national listening sessions of individuals with lived experience, end quote. That $2 million grant trained prosecutors to investigate child abuse in juvenile detention facilities, youth correctional facilities, or group homes. Those listening sessions that maybe sounded frivolous because they're called listening sessions, that actually allowed government workers, prosecutors, to hear directly from youth abuse victims. This is not a priority of the United States government. So my question is, when something like that stops happening, Brother Lyle, when the work you do stops happening, because Pam Bondi said, well, we're nothing's going to stop. So we're still victims will still of violence and sexual assault. They'll still get assistance. Nothing will skip a beat here. How is that possible? Who does this work if not for Circle of Brotherhood or these other 364 organizations?
Nobody stands in this particular gap. Nobody. And so it's going to be interesting to see as well how our local politicians respond to this as well. Yeah. Because again, nobody stands in the gap. And so when these homicide rates, these suicide rates, when these fights in schools and neighborhoods, when this stuff, look, we talk about surviving from riots in the past, surviving from pandemics in the past. this actually is inducing a pandemic.
What is next? What is going to happen? Is the city of Miami going to kick in? Is the county of Dade going to kick in? What is the next move here? Because the government itself is not going to do this work, as we've established. It relies upon nonprofits and organizations like Circle of Brotherhood to do this work. So what's next? How do you feel that you got an immediate deficit of what you said, $600,000? I mean, I know people could go to circleofbrotherhoodmiami.org and donate, I'm sure. But, I mean, it's going to be a lot quickly. So what happens now?
Well, I know for us, just so you know, the first thing that has to happen is some mass awareness and organization, which is why forums like this are so important. So on May 7th, it's going to be a national day of action for all the 365 organizations that were affected by this. Some are going to be traveling to Washington, D.C. We'll be holding our massive rally right here at our headquarters. And there's also going to be a call to action. I can't reveal what that call to action is going to be right now. But when I said no more business as usual, after we make that call of action on this coming Wednesday, May the 7th, people are going to know it's no more business as usual. And I'll be honest, we're not looking for local government to do anything because, to be quite honest, gun violence in Dade County has been nothing but a political football anyway, where people give lip service instead of financial service to it. But I will tell you this, everyone who says that they support this work, they're going to be called to the carpet to have to come and support it. And we're not just talking about verbal support anymore. It's time for us to help finance and fund our own missions too.
Oh shit. On that note, I think we should leave it right there, because that is a real suspenseful, that's a cliffhanger right there. That is a to be continued. Brother Lyle Muhammad, Executive Director, Circle of Brotherhood, Miami.org. Please go check him out. Please go support them. And Brother Lyle, we're going to have you back. We're going to have to do the call to action episode.
Exactly, which will make for a very interesting interview. And I can't tell you why just yet, but that'll be a very interesting interview.
In the immortal words of Bart Scott, can't wait. Can't wait. I wish we had that cart, Roy. We don't have that cart.
Can't wait.
Oh, solid.
Thank you.
Good Bart Scott.